Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Politics New York Live. I'm Elizabeth Aloni, and I'm with Schnips Media and Politics NY. I am joined by AARP to discuss the important topic of older adults. Welcome to Beth Finkle, State Director of AARP New York. Beth and I are thrilled to be welcoming Adrienne Adams, New York City Council Speaker, and Crystal Hudson, New York City Council Member. So let me tell you a bit about my co-host, Beth Finkle, who is the State Director of AARP New York. Beth leads the day-to-day operations of AARP New York, the most visible and successful organization in the state advocating for New York's 50-plus population. During her tenure as state director, AARP New York efforts on behalf of their 2.3 million members have led to historic state reforms, including passage of the CARE Act, assisted living protections, anti-predatory lending, paid family leave, and affordable housing in New York City legislation, and numerous bills on kin care. AARP New York advocates for its members on critical priorities, such as strengthening Social Security, and AARP New York's membership in New York City is approximately 750,000. Now it is my privilege to introduce our esteemed guests. First, I'd like to introduce New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams. Speaker Adams was elected in January 2022 by her colleagues. She leads the most diverse and the first women majority council in New York City history as the first ever African-American speaker. Elected to the City Council in November 2017, she is also the first woman to represent District 28, which encompasses the Queens neighborhoods of Jamaica, Richmond Hill, Rockdale Village, and South Ozone Park. Welcome, Speaker Adams, and thank you so much for joining us today.
A pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having us.
Wonderful. Now I'd like to introduce Council Member Crystal Hudson. Council Member Hudson represents District 35 in Brooklyn, encompassing the neighborhoods of Prospect Heights, Fort Greene, Clinton Hill, and parts of Crown Heights and Bedford-Stuyvesant. She was elected in 2021 and made history as one of the first out gay Black women ever elected in New York City. Crystal is a community organizer and public servant committed to making government more accessible for more people. Welcome, Council Member, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I am now going to turn it over to Beth Finkle for some important questions for our guests. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you. And thank you so much to Crystal and Adrienne for joining us today. Really terrific, because you've been such outspoken advocates for older adults in New York. So I want to start off with a subject that I know you're both very familiar with, and that's ageism. The mayor's newly announced cabinet for older New Yorkers can shine a light on area agencies that might be falling a bit short for the 50 plus. So we're wondering, what is the City Council going to do to help protect older New Yorkers? So Crystal, do you want to? Okay, go.
I guess I'll start us off, and thank you again, Beth, for moderating this important conversation, and thank you for the opportunity to address how the council's supporting older adults. I always say I long to be that older adult, that jewel of my community that I love to dance with, I love to talk to, I love to eat with, and everything in between. So the council is really focused on meeting the needs of our older adults by addressing food insecurity and funding older adult centers and supporting geriatric mental health services and a whole lot more. And in our recent budget, the council allocated more than $32 million specifically for senior service initiatives that support a range of programs to assist our older adult population. That includes a new investment of over $3 million to purchase 44 new vans delivering meals to homebound over New Yorkers, and we were really proud to do that. The council is also considering a host of legislation to improve services for our older adults, including bills that promote housing stability, culturally responsible programming, support, of course, for LGBTQIA+ older adults, and digital literacy. So the council is focused on protecting and supporting our aging community now more than ever, especially under the leadership of Councilmember Hudson.
Thank you so much. And just to piggyback off of that, as the speaker has said, the city council has made countless investments in the older adult population across all different focus areas. But as it relates to ageism, I think the city council is not only funding organizations that combat ageism, but the city council itself is a place where people of all ages, all backgrounds are welcome. We, represent very diverse districts across the 5 boroughs here in New York City. And we advocate all the time as members, as individual members representing our districts, but also as those representing New York City. We advocate on behalf of older New Yorkers and ensure that the policies and practices that we have in place in the council are ones that support and uplift older New Yorkers.
And I know that, Crystal, you've been working on legislation to combat elder crime and protect the rights of older New Yorkers. Your bills around bias training for service providers and knowing your rights pamphlet. Do you want to say anything more about that? Because it's been great that both you and Adrienne have been working on this.
Yeah, I mean, none of what I've been able to do would be done without the help and support and the leadership of Speaker Adams. But I'm really proud of the fact that we introduced a package of legislation called the Place NYC Package, which is 10 bills. That package will be growing, hopefully over the next few months. But we're really aiming to address the needs of seniors across healthcare, housing, and everything in between. And like you said, creating a Know Your Rights pamphlet where DFTA, the Department for the Aging, would be required or mandated to send out a pamphlet to everybody 60 and over to let people know and inform them about the resources and services that are available to them. So often, I think what happens is unless you're going to an older adult club or center, unless you're interacting with service providers, you don't necessarily know what's available to you. And so this is a way to ensure that everybody knows exactly what they qualify for, what is available to them. We also have a bill in there addressing telemedicine and greater access for telemedicine, greater access for digital literacy, things of that nature. And then also a bill that includes universal design in any new development that's receiving government subsidies, which is really ensuring that we are creating living environments for everyone and anyone. So whether you're an older person or you're living with a disability, universal design would create opportunities for people to live comfortably, live with dignity, and to age in place in their own homes.
It's really great. With the city council support expanding the use of universal design in more buildings down the road, besides the 10% threshold that you've already identified?
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is a starting point, certainly. There's always, room and opportunity with negotiations with the other side of City Hall, the administration, to see what else we might be able to secure. But I would say, this is a great starting place.
That's great. You mentioned connectivity, and I know the speaker has been very dedicated to that also for, a variety of reasons, ranging from broadband access to technology proficiency. Many 50 plus are facing isolation and have less access to services than they otherwise might be able to access online. So I know that the bill that you've talked about, there's also the bill with City Council member Jennifer Gutierrez, which would require DOITT and DFTA to establish online digital literacy program for older adults. So could you talk about that? And also the DOHMH, I know you mentioned the telemedicine accessibility plan. I mean, I think that those are really great steps forward. So happy to hear that you all are working on this at the City Council. Do you think they might get passed this year? Or maybe I should be asking the speaker about that.
Well, I'll kind of kick it off. I'm really glad that you asked, about the issue of connectivity because, closing the digital divide is a major priority for our council. The pandemic really, really forced people to rely on technology, and it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been an easy transition for many people who lack devices and broadband access, quite frankly. So even in my state of the city, earlier this year, I announced that the council would undertake legislative efforts to break down barriers that prevent people with disabilities and students and older adults who lack access to broadband at home. So these bills, sponsored by council members Hudson and Gutierrez, are a part of our larger effort to expand connectivity throughout. And I'm so excited about the legislation and really the positive impact that it's going to have on our older adult population. The bills are currently going through the legislative process right now, but I look forward to advancing them.
I think it's really wonderful because I know we're talking a lot about older adults, and of course, AARP's membership is 50 plus, but we know that the gap.
I have my card.
Good.
Proud card carrier.
We know that, the people who've lost their jobs through COVID, et cetera, people who are older adults, people who are 50 plus. I know sometimes people who are 50 plus don't want to hear that they are older adults, but we are. And so I'm really excited about this because yes, it's more access to digital literacy. And yes, it's more access to telemedicine and everything else. It's so essential in fighting isolation, but it also makes people more ready to be in the workplace. And be able to keep up with the workplace, which I know is a commitment of this council and making sure that people are getting the jobs that they need and that they want. So I just have to give a shout out to that because I think, we know that when older people lose their jobs, they're going to be out a lot longer because of that. So I really thank you, congratulate you on your dedication to this work.
Yeah, and it's not just about access to jobs and employment opportunities. It's also about, staying connected to family and friends, and to neighbors, and making sure that, in the time of a pandemic and any other, crisis where folks have to stay at home or are forced to sort of be isolated, that people have an opportunity to stay connected to others, and to get that, human connection, via tablets and online and Zoom and other sorts of resources. So all of those bills are part of the Age in Place NYC package. And you heard it here first that the speaker is committed to moving them through. So
yes, I've been taking notes avidly. Thank you so much, Carissa. Yeah. But thank you, Speaker Adams. Really, it's wonderful to have advocates such as you leading the way for us. Wonderful.
We really appreciate all of you being here today. Thank you so much, Beth Finkle of AARP, and to Adrienne Adams, New York City Council Speaker, and Crystal Hudson, New York City Council Member, for this valuable information and your powerful support for older adults of New York City. Appreciate your time today, and I wish you all a great afternoon. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.